Hello again.
Welcome to night 2 of the Vince Maggio Love Fest. Cheers to everybody.
Yes, indeed.
Cheers
Cheers.
to
Vince.
Vince. He would appreciate a good glass of wine for sure.
Hmm.
So we want to thank everybody who's
Yeah,
come back for more. And we hope you enjoyed last night. It was really, really fun for us, and just to see everything and hear everything and remember everything. And we have so much more tonight. So we're really excited
yeah.
about it.
So,
You want to kick it off, because after this next segment, we're gonna have a special co-host, and we're gonna kick Nikki out. He's gonna
that's
be
right.
relegated to tech world only
That's right.
for a little bit
I'll
anyway.
be behind the scenes for a little while.
Yeah.
So let's get this started with. Well, oh, before I show the audio and video, it has to do with Dennis Marks, who had played with Vince for many years, and Michelle had sent a lovely picture to show you. So here's, I guess they were doing a gig together.
Yeah. Vince and Dennis and Michelle.
And so we're going to start this off with Dennis Marks talking about Vince.
Hello, this is Dennis Marks here, and I just wanted to say a few words about Vince. I remember going all the way back to to Bebop Ensemble. We were all very intimidated by Vince, but we grew out of that, and we learned to really understand what he was trying to tell us. And those concepts about rhythmic engagement, melodic development, all of those things, I am still passing on to my students to this day. So I am permanently in debt to Vince for his incredible knowledge, and I thank him so much for that. I wanted to share a tune that we recorded as a duo a couple of years ago. I had the privilege of going to St. Augustine and recording some tunes with him at his house. We would usually have dinner with his lovely wife, Trish, and have some wine and record some tunes. One of them, Just Friends, turned out very well. And then sometime after the fact, Steve Rucker added a drum part consisting of just snare drum and brushes. And so it really augmented it and made it sound really cool. So I hope you enjoy this, and I just wanted to say that Vince, I will always remember you, and I know it's been difficult the last few years, but at least you have peace now and lots of great memories from all of us. So here we go with Just Friends.
So here we are with Jim Gager, our co-host with the most, I don't know, possibly. So yeah, that was that was Dennis Marks with Vince and Steve
Steve
Rucker
Rucker,
after the
post
fact,
facto.
which is very cool. Um, yeah, so I guess, Jim and I were so lucky to have had a lot of interaction both during school and then after school, working with Vince in kind of many ways. We went to him as a duo, for some coaching, and he had seen us one night, and we were talking about the time and things like that, and he called us the next day and was just like, um, he was just, saying that he could help us become, bulletproof, no matter who we worked with, is if we were, had rhythmic agreement between ourselves, and we were part of the rhythm section. We were the rhythm section. So we kind of really worked hard to to uh to do that, and he helped me think so much differently about time. As a singer working with the rhythm section a lot, I got really, I don't want to say lazy, but I just got used to floating over the time, because here I have this rhythm section under me, and I didn't have to worry so much about the time. But what happened was he made me realize that I was part of the rhythm section, and I was responsible for the time just as much as anybody else. And he gave me a lot of tools, and it really helped me and informed my singing in a whole new way, which I so much appreciated. So I don't know, do you want to talk a little bit about?
Yeah,
You have a, like a whole
Well,
thing.
we dedicated our debut album, which is our only album right now, but one in the can. We dedicated that to Vince in when that came out, and we dedicated to him in the liner notes and all that. He was just so influential to both of us, clearly, and I think we had, I think both of us had something similar. Hold on. Me even more starkly in the sense that I studied with him in my bachelor's degree, for my bachelor's degree and in my master's degree. So I mean, I had this this incredible real opportunity to really enjoy and really benefit from Vince Maggio in three stages. One beginning in the fall of 1987, right straight from high school and first weeks of college, and being thrust right into swing class, and from the loving arms and hearts of my parents to Vince Maggio, and that was sort of Vince Maggio chapter 1. Chapter 2, I had already gotten my feet wet with teaching. I was already teaching at New World School of the Arts. I was going back to University of Miami for my master's degree in jazz pedagogy, and I remember an incident where I didn't call him Vince, but I distinctly remember him just reminding me that it was going to be Mr. Maggio.
Okay.
And I didn't make the mistake of calling him Vince, but he did. It's almost like he beat me to the punch. And I remember one time we were in our lesson, and he sort of sarcastically kind of had a little dig, like he knew I was a jazz pedagogy major. So at one point he just kind of leaned back and crossed his arms and did one of these, "Okay, Mr. Jazz Pedagogy," and then proceed to just like give some insight, and then really about 10 years after my master's degree, we sort of became much more reconnected. Some of the concerts at the UU, I would go to hear him. He was coming to hear us. He went to Jake's in South Miami. We started doing concerts at the UU. We started going to him for lessons. And so there was sort of three distinct chapters. And that third chapter really clearly turned into a friendship. I mean, he was always the teacher, in the friendship. He was always the big brother.
This is going to be Brenda Alford with Jim playing as an accompanist. So, one of the best things about Vince is his love of the art of accompanying and teaching that and instilling that love into his students. I mean, not everybody is going to love accompanying. Not every piano player is going to love accompanying, but he would know the ones that had that excitement about it. So he would really love finding those students, and Jim is one of them, thank goodness, that loved working with singers. So this is going to be a recording of Jim with Brenda Alford, who's going to talk a little bit, and I'll talk about the song afterwards.
Hi, this is Brenda Alford, and I just want to say a few words about Vince Maggio, my professor, my colleague, my friend. The words that describe him in my heart are excellence and respect. He respected excellence, he demanded excellence, and he was excellence. I love the fact that he loved teaching so much. When he asked me, "What are you doing here? Why are you paying these kind of dues?" I was in my 40s when I started at UM, and he was one of my professors. And he asked me, "Why are you paying these kinds of dues?" And I snapped back at him, because I want to be better. And you know what he did? He took me to his gig and shared his gig with me. It was such a beautiful gesture. He respected me for who I was, and he knew what I wanted to do. So I always learn the lyrics, and I always try to sing that melody right, because that's what he demanded. Vince, you're gone but not forgotten, and not really gone, because you live on in the teaching that you did, all of the students that you've turned out who are so excellent. And of course, you live on in my heart. God bless you.
Young and foolish, why is it wrong to be young and foolish? We haven't long to be. Soon enough, the carefree days, the sunlit days go by. Soon enough, the bluebird has to fly. We were foolish. One day we fell in love. Now we're wondering what we were dreaming of. Smiling in the sunshine, laughing in the rain. I wish that we were young and foolish again. Were foolish. One day we fell in love. Now we're wondering what we were thinking about. Smiling in the sunshine, laughing in the rain. I wish that we were young and foolish again.
Woo! All right, I'm hoping the sound is better. You can let us know, because I think we fixed it. So you just let us know. Lisa Nappy said, beautifully done. Thank you. Yeah, Brenda, that was just so beautiful. And Jim, of course. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. How is our much better? Yay! Okay. Shit happens. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. I want to say, Brenda had told me, I talked to her about why she chose a song. And she told me that when she was working on her, one of her recitals, Vince told her that this was one of his favorite songs. And and she did it with him, and it was the only time she's ever sung it until she sang it with Jim the last week, and then it was the second time she's done it. But Vince loved the Tony Bennett version, and yeah. So, all right, now I feel so much better. I was so stressed out about the damn sound. I hate when that happens, when everything is right. Last night, and then something, the gremlins show up. But can we start it from the beginning? No, but we'll just move on and be happy. I wanted to, like she was talking about how intimidated she was when she first took Vince's class. And we were talking, and last night Jamie talked about it. And a lot of the students talk about how when you first take a class with Vince, it's so intimidating. So Jamie Owsley actually started a thread on Facebook, I guess, a couple weeks ago. And it was called One Time in Swing Class. And so I thought it was so, so funny because there were so many things. And we know a lot of stories. We've heard a lot of stories. And so I'm just going to bring a couple of screenshots that I took from Facebook for you to talk about. So Gabe Syons says, I remember Vince would stand behind the drummers if they were playing too loud and have them just listen without playing. He would ask them, can you hear the piano now? That's how loud you need to play. He would not let them get away with anything. Yeah, and then, the classic stories of him only allowing the drummers at the very beginning of class to pick one drum. You could have your snare, you could have the kick, or you could have a cymbal, the hi-hat, right? You had to pick. So Lincoln Clary says, that was pretty good. I think you swung for all of, you took it away, for most of one bar. That's like such a classic Vince thing, which is fantastic. What else we have? Oh, this was my favorite because Ludwig Afonso, who is like such a fantastic drummer, so musical, such a great, he wrote, yeah, he gave me a C+, best C+ ever.
Wow.
Which, like to me, that's just like, because most students are pissed with C++, but you know what? It's like he learned a lesson and anyway, I just love all these things. I know one of his big things was over pedaling. He hated that. So he would wedge a bottle of water under the piano pedal once. And Phil Strange said, he told me to put my right foot under the pedal. It's a technique I still use from time to time when I think I'm getting too pedally. And do you have any? Oh, Lawrence Elder, this was good. My first semester of grad school, after at least a month of swing class and jazz piano form, I had already experienced more than my share of humbling experiences. I knock on the door of Vince's office one day, and when he opens the door, I say, Vince, I think I realized just how much I suck. And a little smile comes over his face as if he's been waiting for me to say this, and he says, great, now we can get to work, which is also so him. Like, realize you have the problem, and then you can start to fix it. I actually did have a freshman swing class story. One piano player asked me to sing because you would bring guests in, I guess, at some point in swing class to have learn accompanying. So somebody asked me, I don't even remember who it was, asked me to come and do it. They picked my song, which was I think it was "Spring Can Really Hang You Up the Most," which is like for a freshman singer, it was kind of a little bit crazy. And so here I am, like my first semester of freshman. I borrowed a bass amp and I dragged the bass amp in. I plugged in my mic and my cord and everything. And I sang this tune. About at one A section in, he stops and he says, Wendy, are you comfortable with that tempo? And I was like, well, it could have been a slower, I like slow. It could have been a little slower. And he said, okay. And then he scooched the piano player out and he started playing with me. We found a tempo that I liked. And then we finished the thing. It was a great experience. But after the class, after I packed up everything and I'm in my car, I'm waiting at a red light to turn left. And all of a sudden a car pulls up next to me at the light. And it was a little green gremlin. And it was Vince Maggio. He honked the horn, rolled down his window, and just yelled at me, saying, never let anybody pick your tempos. Only you know what tempos you sing at. You pick the tempo. You're responsible for picking the tempo. You know what you like. The light turned green, and he just drove off. And that was it. I was just like, my eyes were this big, but I learned a great lesson that day. And I generally am happier with letting people pick tempos at this point, but I really did learn a great fantastic lesson.
Wow.
So, did you have anything?
Well, I just, what sticks out to me is not any one thing, but how excited we were, a little bit scared, but it really, really was the best part of the week. Those Tuesdays, late Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. And Matt Cherkoff and I were really close friends, and John Rivers, and we were just so excited about going to class, and I think Mr. Maggio sensed that we had really drank the Kool-Aid, that we weren't sort of suspicious of us, but that we were really, really invested in what what he was sharing. And I think one thing that separates Vince from so many other teachers is, there's this kind of pervading kind of philosophy that, and I've heard many really great musicians and many great teachers articulate this idea that they put out all the information, and then the students who are really hungry, well, they'll work on it and they'll get it. And there's this sort of Darwinian kind of survival of the fittest, like there's this kind of, everybody gets the same ecosystem through the teacher, and some students just kind of step up. And I really don't think that was true of Vince. I think he went far beyond just putting the information out. He was by far the most persuasive teacher I've ever had. And I think for better or for worse, I've certainly kind of become a chip off the old block in that regard. I don't believe it's my responsibility just to put the information out.
Right.
I really believe that sometimes students need a push. They might need encouragement. They might need a kick in the rear. They might need a reminder of again and again and again. But this idea, it's dangerous. It's a fuzzy line, but it's not only the student that's responsible for the student's progress. But I think Vince took that responsibility to heart. It wasn't just like, oh, here's the information. All right, best of luck, everybody. He really, really, really pushed. He really wanted you to get it.
And it didn't stop when we were in college. It didn't stop, when you were in grad school. No. It didn't stop after we became friends and started hanging out, because up until our last concert that he came, and this would have been, the summer before COVID, we did a concert at the, down south, and he came with Trish, and we knew, we would know always after every concert that he would come to, we would get an email that night. Usually that night, before we would go to sleep, there would be an email waiting for us. And both of us, not just me, would be me separately, and and then Jim. And it would be...
Of course, we ended up sharing the email.
Of course. Did you get one? Did you get an email?
Can you read yours? I'll read mine.
But the funny thing was, it was, sometimes I would get so mad at him for those emails, because they would be things that I didn't want to hear necessarily, but I probably needed to, but I would have liked to maybe wait 24 hours before I got the information. But everything he said was always true. And the majority of time they were just him being really proud and of the kind of level of accomplishment and communication that we had attained, and he never ever stopped teaching us and being a part of our growing learning and growing experiences, which I am so grateful for. What do you think? Shall we do the? You can help me with with this next thing, maybe.
Okay, great.
So like I said, so many things. People have sent in things, and everybody reacts differently. We really like it when somebody does their tribute, themselves, but we got a lot of stuff from the one and only Dan Bonsanti, and for him it was so personal, and he didn't feel, so he wrote something down, and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to I'm going to kind of read what he said, and we're going to intersperse some pictures and some audio during this. So this is, if you want to put that picture back up, this is from Dan Bonsanti. We're going to read it. Okay. It says, I was a member of the first small group Vince coached at UM in the spring of 1970, along with saxophonist Mark Colby and pianist Mike Gerber, and got to know him as a part-time player in his Baker's Dozen ensemble from 69 to 72. We started working gigs together, including a memorable 10-day gig with Mel Torme. I think that's kind of the famous Mel Torme story. We became colleagues and very close friends on the UM Jazz faculty for 16 years, and our close friendship continued to the very day of his passing. Over the years, we spent countless hours listening to music, almost exclusively his favorite orchestra and classical solo piano recordings. He didn't listen to jazz very often anymore. We sat at the piano, going over scores of his favorite composers and reminiscing and reviewing a great many of his performance and teaching experiences. The Baker's Dozen, UM Studio Orchestra, and string ensemble arranging for his wife, Trish, held very special places in his heart. Co-arranging a new version of his original Baker's Chart on I'm All Smiles for our recent album was one of my most memorable experiences. Beautiful. That's on the brand new CD. In April of 2018, Vince and I were hanging out at his home in Miami, reminiscing about his time in New York City, living with Bill Evans, and his relationship with Tad Dameron. I mentioned how much I loved Tad's writing, and I wanted to arrange some of Tad's compositions for my band, but there were already volumes of great arrangements of his works. Vince proceeded to play two pieces written by Tad Dameron for films that were not well known to the jazz public, which Tad had taught Vince and Bill Evans. Tad was terminally ill at that time, and Vince used to visit Tad and play for him. Tad often asked Vince to play Tad's compositions, as he enjoyed Vince's orchestral approach and the way Vince would frame the melody. He told Vince that what's hip changes, but a thing of beauty lasts forever. Vince recorded these short versions of those two Tad Dameron compositions for me with a promise I would do my best to record and preserve them. So now we're going to play Vince playing and talking about these songs, and Dan closes with the statement, I'd like to think Vince is still framing melodies.
Okay, this piece is the love theme from the movie Giant, called There'll Never Be Anyone Else But You, composed by Tad Dameron and sold to Dimitri Metropolis. Tad's Waltz, which was never titled or published, that he shared with me and Gil Evans. And now that Gil is gone, I guess I'm the only one that knows it. Okay?
Yeah.
That was great. He had actually taught me a different alternative ending to If You Could See Me Now, like at the very end, that he had taught to, Tad Dameron had taught to him. I probably can't remember it now, if it's sadly, and but maybe it could come back to me. Melody framing is a beautiful way to think about things.
Yeah.
I love that. We're going to show now. Thank you so much, Dan, because you sent so many great pics in. Some we're going to play, show in a little bit. But we really appreciate you help all the help that you did in sending us, videos and pictures and things like that. It really helped make this even better. Technical issues and glitches and all. We're going to play now one of the students that was there when I was there. I guess maybe he was maybe getting his he was getting his graduate degree when I was first there. Is Daryl Grant, who's doing really amazing things. I think he just had an opera debuted and pretty amazing things. So this is what he sent in. Daryl Grant.
Hey, this is Daryl Grant from Portland, Oregon. It's been 35 years since I graduated from the UM, and in all that time I don't think I've come anywhere close to the mastery and artistry that Vince Maggio showed me on this instrument, but I've used the things he taught me about tone and touch and artistry and pedaling and just being myself every day in my career since. So I'm going to dedicate this to Vince. Thanks, Vince.
I love seeing all these students 30 years later after the fact.
Yeah.
It's just an amazing thing. Somebody that really just recently met Vince was a woman by the name of Linda Cole. And Vince and Trish had just moved up to St. Augustine, and they really hadn't found music or like a place where they could enjoy music, to the level that they wanted to. And somebody had mentioned that this woman was singing, and so they went out to see her, and he immediately took to her sense of storytelling, and it turns out she is a relative of Nat King Cole. I can't remember exactly how that worked, but I just wanted to read something that she wrote and sent to us about Vince. I met Professor Vince on a Sunday in 2019 when he came to my Jazz Sunday rendezvous in Palm Coast, Florida. His lovely wife, Trish, had heard about the jazz set and suggested that they come and see what was happening. At the break, he approached me and said, "You must be from Chicago. Nobody sings like that unless they're from Chicago." I said, "Yes, I'm from Chicago." He said, "You, Miss Cole, are the real deal." He sat in with the band a couple of times, and I got the chance to sing with him on the piano. We tried, but never got the chance to work together again. He was a wonderful man, educator, mentor, jazz expert, and music critic. He will be terribly missed. May he rest in peace. And to Trish, you are loved and respected. Please be well and take good care. The saddest thing is that I think the week after the pandemic started, Linda had hired him to be her accompanist for the first time at that gig, and he was really, really, really looking forward to getting out there and making music again. And then this freaking pandemic happened, and he didn't get that opportunity. But I'm so glad anyway that he found music that he loved up there, because that's always a difficult task.
Yeah.
When you move to a new place.
For sure.
Yeah.
We have a fun tribute.
I don't know if you noticed, but Nikki Orta's back.
I'm not Jim anymore, and things are working beautifully now. Here's a comment from Paul Bruno.
I did a lot of work on the action of Vince's Baldwin. I'll never forget the times when I would get the piano all tuned up and Vince would play and Trish would sing from the kitchen. Wow. It was so good I would choke up and have to hide my tears. We will always miss Vince. Paul and Diana Bruno. The funny thing is Vince never wanted you to hide your tears. Vince would cry right along with you, which is one of the most endearing things about it. And yes, I know for a fact that Paul completely reworked Vince's beloved childhood Baldwin piano. It was over 100 years old, and I know that when he was ill, he was really worried about where the piano was going to go.
Right.
And they did find a really great home to a young man not far from St. Augustine. I think it was actually in Savannah, Georgia.
Oh, nice.
And he plays both classical and jazz. And so Vince's really main concern was that the piano would be loved and played every day. So I feel really relieved knowing that it went to a great, great home. That makes my heart happy. Can we do this?
Sure.
We're going to do a couple of testimonials. Here we go.
My name is Antoine Corey.
Oh, and my name is Miriam Stern.
And we were the founders of the Miami String Project in early 2000, like about 2006.
2006, I think.
And had a wonderful honors level youth ensemble. and we had an opportunity to work with Vince Maggio. I met him through you and through Wendy.
He was really excited to hear the group, and he wanted to write for us, and we were really excited to have him write for us. Like, what an honor.
Absolutely.
It's just beautiful.
I didn't really know much about Vince at the time, and as we started spending a lot of time together, I realized that we were in the presence of like a legendary legendary composer, musician, arranger, and I was just very thrilled to be working with him and watching him just transform these kids' minds to think a different way about music and listen to music in a different way. These kids, a lot of them hadn't really played this type of music,
Right.
like the classic types of
The studio
jazz
style.
standard, right? Like a
Yeah.
Frank Sinatra would, or a Henry Mancini type of, piece. And Vince was writing in that type of style, and it was just gorgeous writing. And our kids, I don't think we'll ever forget that.
Without you, I know. Because of one caress, my world was overturned. At the very start, all my bridges burned by my flaming heart. You wouldn't leave me, would you? You couldn't hurt me, could you? Never let me go. Never let me go.
I gave them this opportunity they might never have had, because I remember that when I was at I was part of Vince's studio jazz orchestra. We did amazing charts like that by him and by his students and I guess other professionals around. And then when that orchestra stopped existing, there wasn't really anything else like that. So our kids that were coming up and that were playing and that were classically trained, but we were exposing them to hip hop and to Latin and other international styles. We weren't exposing them to that style though, that like beautiful string studio.
They might have played
writing.
like some, Duke Ellington stuff, but not like this type of
Nothing
writing.
so polished and beautiful, and his arrangements were stunning.
With vocals, and to
Yeah.
have like Wendy and Trish sing
Yeah.
with us, it was amazing. So I'm very, very fortunate to have been around him and just been in his presence and learned from him. As a young composer and arranger myself, it was an honor. It was definitely an honor. So we just give a lot of love to him and his family, and we're just very fortunate to have known him.
Yeah. He changed us, like
For sure.
he changed probably everybody.
For sure. Sweet man, very sweet man, and very serious about his music. And we salute you. So thank you so much, Vince.
Yeah, and we miss you too.
For sure.
Hi, this is Bill Kreitner with just a couple words about my very good friend Vince Maggio. I met Vince in '81 when I came to the University of Miami, and was lucky enough to play in a group that he coached, the bebop ensemble. And eventually, after I got out of school, he called me to play some gigs, and on those gigs, on the breaks, we started talking about fly fishing, and I convinced him to take me flats fishing in South Florida, which he did. We had a great time, and for 35 plus years, we fished Flamingo, we fished Biscayne Bay, we took a couple other long distance trips and became great fishing buddies, and we also played music together. Early on, he hired me to play with his quartet at Green Streets and Tony Bishop's with Don Kaufman and Eric Allison and Pete Menger, and that was a great honor. Vince and I became real close. He was like a brother to me, and his wife Trish is like a sister to me, another sister. And I'm really sorry to see him go, and I miss talking to him about music. I miss talking about fishing and picking his brain about playing music. He's been helping me in the last few months, giving me pointers about playing melodies on vibes and harmonies, etc. I miss him a lot, and I'm sure many of you do as well. So I'm very happy that the Jazz Society has put together this tribute to Vince. He deserves it, and I'm looking forward to hearing everybody else's remembrances.
Hi, I'm Jackie Presti. I'm a singer, teacher, and voice therapist here in Manhattan. I'm grateful to my education at Miami for everything it prepared me to be able to make a living here in New York as a singer. And Vince is a huge part of that, was a huge part of that. I met him in 1974. I was 17 years old. Someone told me he had this class for singers and pianists and that you could sing a solo because I was always a group singer. I went into that little room, you make the left into a studio from the Foster Building Hall, and I said, I have the music I'm singing What Are You Doing the Rest of Your Life? And I had my music, it's in E minor. The bridges get really hard. Then that was the first time I got the look. He went, I think I can handle it. So I thought, oh God, shut up, Jackie. So I sang the song. And he said, okay, I think you could come into the class. There's some things going on there. Okay, you could learn a lot. So I got into the class the next semester, all upperclassmen, totally intimidated, great pianists, all his students learning to accompany the singers learning to communicate with their accompanists. So I get up, I sing the song, everybody stares at you. I have the microphone and I'm like this. My eyes are closed and I don't remember what I was singing and I'm trying to put my heart into it, and then all of a sudden I open my eyes and he's on the floor, sitting cross-legged on the floor, looking up at me, and I finished the song and he goes, well, if you're going to look down at the floor when you sing, that's where I'm going to be because I need to see your face and your eyes when you sing. So that was lesson number one. A little unorthodox, but he made his point, as he always did with every lesson he taught. Whether it was about, how to set the tune up, swinging, which through the swings, it doesn't swing, what word to hold, what syllable to hold. I mean, and the way he accompanied you was just unparalleled. I mean, you felt like you had an orchestra under you every time he played. So over the years, we were in touch a lot. I was in Aspen doing a music thing when he met his wife, Trish, who he adored. And I always kept in touch with Vince. I mean, a couple of years could go by, but we always talked about old times. We talked about different musical things that I was going through. He was always so supportive. And I spoke with him last on August the 7th when out of the blue he called me. We talked for an hour. He sounded great, energetic. He had just had a transfusion. He was so introspective about his teaching methods, about his political correctness or his unpolitical correctness. And we just had a great talk. And I was really heartbroken when I heard that he had died, because I really thought, wow, he's rallying. And then immediately I spoke with so many people, the Roysteins and Warnoff and all of the people that I know loved him dearly, as we all did. And Vince, you were something else, and we love you. Rest in peace. And they are so lucky to have you.
I knew Vince Maggio for a long, long time, since he first came down to Miami. And over the years, we shared venues as players and worked opposite each other. And I cannot say enough about his musicianship and his playing. And as a colleague at the University of Miami, I'm not going to go through any history, but because you're going to see all that and hear all that, or you already have. But the point is that he was so influential on his students, and he created such a great legacy with all the people that went through his studio as the jazz piano teacher. You only need to look at the roster playing in the important jazz clubs in the United States and elsewhere overseas, as well as recordings that they've made. And especially when you read on Facebook or wherever all the testimonials from those names, which are becoming and or have already become rather well known in the jazz world. Vince is responsible for those people and his teaching and his personal influence. And I can only say that he'll be terribly missed, and keep swinging, Vince. Thank you.
This is Eric Allison and Cheryl Fisher. We prepared a few remarks in tribute to Vince. I first met Vince when I came to Miami from Chicago's Northwestern University in 1973 to get my master's in jazz, the very first year of that program at U of M. I never studied formally with Vince, but performed with him countless times in my 35 years in South Florida. We became very close friends, and besides sharing the bandstand, we shared many wonderful dinners together, along with his beautiful wife, Trish. Besides being a superb pianist, he was a consummate teacher. He could seemingly diagnose any problem, especially in the rhythm sections, and offer the right solution in a clear-cut manner. This he did in his studio, of course, but also on a gig if necessary. His clock was perfect, his harmonic palette sublime, and like myself, melody was his god. It's no coincidence that melodicdevelopment@gmail.com was his email address. Vince was a mentor to me, both musically and personally. He was always there for me when times got tough, and we had many magical moments in the bandstand. Vince Maggio was Vince Lawrence when we first met. In past eras, Italian and Jewish musicians would anglicize their last names or use their middle name if their last name sounded too ethnic. Between tunes one night, with Vince and Don Kaufman on bass, I said, "Do you know, you'll always be Vince Lawrence to me?" Without a pause, Don said, "What key?" Rest in peace, my good friend. We miss you.
Well, I was a vocal student, so I was really never one of Vince's students either. But there's no question for me that he took me under his very generous jazz wings. He helped me to maintain and regain confidence in my musicality when I went to the U of M. I was a mature student, and there was a lot of kiddies there. And he made me feel comfortable, and he chose to ask me to record with the Studio String Orchestra, which buoyed my confidence immensely. And also he asked me on a number of occasions to come in and be the vocalist when he was teaching the guitar and piano students. And I witnessed his amazing teaching ability with his instrumentalists and his insistence that whatever you play has to match the intensity of the lyric. So you have to know the lyrics, obviously. And I will never forget his tried and true example of how emphasis on certain words changes the meaning. And I have used it in all my performances since, and in my teaching too. And I'm sure a lot of you will remember this. I went to the store to get some milk. I went to the store to get some milk. I went to the store to get some milk. I went to the store to get some milk. I went to the store to get some milk. I went to the store to get some milk. And that is something I've carried with me in my performance ever since. God bless you, Vince. And I loved my time with you and your beautiful wife, Trish.
This is John Regan. I'm a singer-songwriter, piano player, writer, and radio host in New York City. And one of the great joys in my life was becoming friends with Vince Maggio later in my life. I had studied with him when I was 18, and he was tough on me. So tough that I ended up transferring out of the University of Miami to study with Kenny Barron at Rutgers University. But a funny thing happened when I became editor of Keyboard Magazine. I decided to reconnect with Vince about 30 years later. And out of interviewing him, we struck up a deep friendship, one that was full of music and continuous talks and sharing of ideas back and forth on a regular basis. And it was quite a turnaround from the guy that I knew as a pretty tough teacher back in the 80s to be such a gentle and caring soul. And I have to say that when I got emails from Vince telling me how impressed he was with my music, it was like winning the lottery. I remember getting an email from him when my last record came out, and he said, "You have become a pianist." And I thought, this is a guy that doesn't suffer fools. So for him to be praising me like that, I must have put in the time. I can't tell you what a hole his departure has left for me. And now every time I sit down at the piano, whether a gig or at my house, I feel his presence, and I feel his unflinching critique of what I do, and it makes me play harder and dig harder and search for better musical choices. So Vince, wherever you are, I think of you all the time, as I know all of us do, and thank you for a lifetime of lessons learned and your kindness and your selflessness. We miss you.
Hello, my name is Richard Todd, and I'm the Associate Professor of Horn at the Frost School of Music at the University of Miami. I first met Vince in 2009, so I know I have known him far less amount of time than most of you on this tribute, but I just wanted to say that his impact in my life ever since I met him was quite remarkable. And what a lovely, lovely soul, great musician, great teacher, great person. I ended up taking over his classical improvisation class. It's actually improvisation for classical musicians, teaching them as Vince would say, to get them from jazz to Debussy. And it's quite a journey to follow in those gigantic footsteps. Vince, you are missed dearly, and my memories of you will be forever embedded in my mind. Trish, Jackie, and I love you very much, and a great big hug to all people involved in this project. Vince left a lasting mark on everyone that he knew, and we are all the better and more blessed for having known the great Vince Maggio. Thank you.
Yeah. So true. And it didn't matter if you knew him for 50 years or if you knew him for, 2 years, he was going to teach you something.
Oh, yeah.
About life, about fishing, about music, about love. You know, he just was a teacher through and through. I wanted to say a really quick thank you to Bill Kreitner. I'm going to tear up again. Sorry, it has to be at least once a night. He was such a important, liaison, I guess, when Vince was really at his sickest, when he was in the hospital and too weak to talk, or and he was the one that was kind of making the phone calls and kind of keeping people apprised and letting so and so know, and then so and so would call me or Jim, or and it was so appreciated, Bill, letting us know what was happening and what was going on. And I know it couldn't have been easy, but you did it, and we thank you for it. So, and we thank you for sending all the pictures and the videos and stuff. It was a great help as we were putting this together. So, from the bottom of my heart, our hearts, thank you. We love you. Okay. We wanted to show. So Dan Bonsanti sent a whole bunch of.
Keller actually did.
Oh, sorry, Gary Keller
Yeah.
sent in a whole bunch of pictures from the U of M days. So we thought it would be fun to show some of these, and then we're going to hear from some of his students who sent in tributes.
So here's with, I believe that's Liebman.
Yeah.
You got Vince and Don Kaufman. I don't know. He looks like he's giving him a piece of his mind, maybe. and it almost looked like Don knew he did something to deserve it.
What did you do?
Mm-hmm. Here's Vince with Bob Meyer. Here's a group.
Wow. There you go. Hornsby, Matheny,
Lindsay,
Gary Lindsay, Witt.
And Vince. Here's the faculty a little later on.
Yeah. Wow. These are great.
Oh, here's a nice one.
Yay!
Look at that.
Lisanne.
Here's another Hornsby. You got Claire Fisher.
And Phil Strange.
Phil Strange, yeah. That's nice.
Kaufman and Colby and Miller and Maggio.
Yeah, I mean, they're legendary.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they were all influential, and we were lucky to have all of them,
Yeah.
to be honest.
So now let's hear from a couple of the students. We'll just go back to back. We're going to hear from Joe Davidian and Jeff Babco, and we're going to hear also from Martin Bejarano. Maybe.
Oh, we are. I have a feeling we're going to.
Okay.
Vince loved conducting those endings. Consummate showman. Boom. That was Vince's solo piano arrangement of Love Letters, obviously. And I'm just recalling how supportive Vince was well after graduation. He sent me this arrangement. He's like, this will give your hands a workout. Sounds like something he would say. Hands and feet. He just always encouraged his students to think like arrangers, to think like orchestrators at the piano. And that was such a gift. One of the many gifts. Another thing that I'm feeling so grateful for was that he supported the trio well after graduation. Again, he would come out to our gigs at the Open Stage Club, listen to our records, and give feedback. He just kept teaching. He just wanted to keep teaching as long as he could, and that he sure did. He gave us so many amazing gifts and so many great lessons that I'll always carry with me with so much gratitude. I love you, Vince. I miss you.
hardly approximate what the great Vince Maggio taught me about the piano, as evidenced by that. I don't know what he'd say about that performance. Hey, it's all right, Jeff, you could do better, he'd probably say. But, you know, there's really nothing that words could express to share what Vince taught us all, and sharing some of these memories with some of his former students these past couple weeks has been eye-opening. We all share a lot of the same stories about funny things he said, inspiring things he said, and really, every day I think all of us pianists that studied with Vince and other instrumentalists take Vince's words and his lessons and his wisdom with us every day, and that's really the truth. And boy, as a teacher, I hope that he knows, wherever he might be swinging right now, how pertinent and how relevant his lessons and his legacy is. And Vince, I miss you, my brother, my friend, my mentor. I love you, and I know someone's taking care of you. You're hanging with Oscar and Wynton Kelly and all you guys. So thank you for sharing what you did in your spirit and your heart with us. Thank you. We're lucky to have you and have had you in our lives. I'm Jeff Babko, signing off.
What can you say about Vince Maggio? He was a legendary teacher. He taught jazz music in a time, 70s, 80s, 90s especially, where, you know, young musicians were studying rock and fusion and electric music and things like that as well. But Vince made it a mission to make sure that anyone who studied with him really knew the roots of the music and where the music came from, and the history of the music, of playing swing, playing blues, and all that type of thing. And he was really unforgiving in his mission. Vince was the same way about the piano. He was all about playing the instrument and learning how to play the instrument as deep and as serious as a classical pianist would learn how to play the instrument. He didn't like the idea that, well, jazz, you could play it on a keyboard or a synthesizer and it's fine. And, jazz musicians don't have to worry about, all the things that classical musicians or classical pianists have to do, worry about, like tone production and pedaling and sound and balance and all those kind of things. And once again, he was really unforgiving about it. And if you studied piano with Vince, you were going to learn all those things at a very, very high level. And those are the things that I'm really thankful for, not only that he imparted to me as a student, but now that I have the honor of teaching at the University of Miami in the capacity that he taught here for so many years, of forwarding that to my students as well, because it is so important. So that was Vince, unforgiving in his teaching, but doing it from a place of love and a place of knowing that it was so important that the students got that information that he would do anything to make sure that they got it. So I recorded a little song for him here. It's actually a song I played for him back a few years ago. We had a nice concert for him at the University of Miami, and I didn't think I played it too well, so I wanted to give it another shot here. And the song is called More Than You Know. And what I said then is what I'll say now, is that I think that his students and musicians that got a chance to study with him really appreciated him and were so thankful for his contribution to their education, way more than he probably knew that they were. So this is for you, Vince. I was really thinking about my pedaling. I was really thinking about my part balance, trying to bring out that melody and tone and inner voice movement the whole time. I was thinking of you and what you would tell me how to make it better. So this is for you, Vince, More Than You Know.
Woo, just beautiful. Wow. We have a video now,
Audio.
an audio with some pictures of actually the same song, and it's Vince playing with his dad. His dad is playing violin, and it's the same song. And I know it was done in the 80s, so it's you know, it was definitely when his dad was older, and but you just feel the love, and you can just, you know, I feel like you can feel the joy of Vince playing with his dad, accompanying his dad. So let's give this a listen. This is More Than You Know with Dad and Kelly, with Vince and Kelly. Wow, that is so beautiful.
That's deep.
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, I have a whole CD of songs that he played with his dad. I went to Trisha's house a couple weeks ago, and she was so lovely and just lent me a whole bunch of he really was a great collector of his own playing, studio rhythm, and studio jazz orchestra, and so many of his duo and trio recordings, and that CD, and so many things. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is, if any of you out there are interested, you can feel free to contact me, and we can maybe do some kind of a Dropbox situation if there's anything that you're interested in having. So I guess just reach out to us on Facebook or wherever. So because there's a lot of just really, really amazing things.
For sure.
Joe Donato talked about this last night, that when Vince first came down here, he was, he had 3 students. One was Joe.
I love how I put it. I figured the university gave him
the best and the worst. So we heard from him. So we thought it would be appropriate to play these towards the end of the show. We've got a tribute from Mike Gerber and one from Mike Levine, his earliest, bestest students, I guess.
Right.
I first met Vince Maggio in 1969. I used to go to the Yacht South Seas right by Tony's Fish Market, where he had a 6-night-a-week job. And I would listen to him play in awe, in rapture, because he had the influences from bebop to modal to Bartok to Debussy and Ravel and everything in his solo piano playing. What a master of solo piano playing. I met him also when he came to jazz band rehearsal at the University of Miami. He helped me with a chart that Jerry Coker wrote on McCoy Tyner's Effendi. And luckily, I got to study with him for, I think, about 5 years. And he was the one person out of everybody at that school that organized me, insisted on artistic development, organization, rhythmically, harmonically, and melodically. And he was a dear friend. We used to hang out at the places where either he or me would be doing jobs. And I miss him and I love him. I love you, Vince. I'm going to play Mayako by Wayne Shorter from the Schizophrenia album. Vince Maggio recorded this with Mark Colby on a duo album. I would recommend you can go on YouTube and check that out, and there's probably still CDs available, so check it out. Mayako.
Hey, I just wanted to say a few words before I play this tune, Like Someone in Love, which actually I saw Vince play at his master's recital. I met Vince when I was in high school and took lessons with him. I believe I even took one lesson at his house. It's a little sketchy memory-wise, but then eventually ended up with my parents getting a package of lessons at the University of Miami. And at that time, he was going by Vince Lawrence, and I took that package of lessons with him. Of course, Vince laid things out so crystal clear, kind of like easier said than done, but nonetheless, we remained friends from then until now. And of course, I took with him again at the University of Miami for a few years and went back even after I had left school, privately at his house on a few occasions. We talked quite often. Vince was somebody I would send things to for him to listen to and make comments, and most of the time they were spot on. I took everything to heart, and I would always listen, considering what he had mentioned in his comments. And we remained in touch until the end. I was hoping things would turn around for him, and unfortunately they didn't. But he was a great player, great time, touch, feel, balance on the piano. An excellent teacher, like an eagle. One little thing. Where's the melody? What's going on with the pedaling? Bring down the accompaniment. Why not put this voicing like this to expose the melody? It's all about. With Vince, it's about two things. Well, it was probably more than two things, of course. I'm oversimplifying, but it was about the melody, number one. And then, in terms of swing, having those eighth notes swing. It's swing music. It's supposed to swing. And then also, like I said, alluded to earlier, the fine points of, pedaling and balance and so forth. But I will miss being able to call him and, send him things and, get his feedback, as I'm sure a lot of us are. So here we go. I'm going to play Like Someone in Love.
The two mics.
Yes.
The beginning of the teaching career for Vince in Miami. I wanted to bring back a Bill Kreitner comment, if you wouldn't mind going up just a little bit. He was saying an experience with Mike Gerber and Jerry Coker was instrumental in getting Vince his gig as a teacher at UMM. Vince came into a small group and immediately fixed a rhythmic problem, and Jerry decided that he was a teacher. The rest is history, as they say. And it is true. I loved what Gerber said about how, you know, Vince was the one, maybe the only one that really, you know, pointed out, you know, issues that could be better, because Mike, you know, Gerber was really such a phenom, you know, at such a young age. And it's when somebody comes, and I can remember Vince talking to me when he was trying to get me to be a teacher, saying things like, you know, imagine like my first student was Mike Gerber, and he was better than I am, you know, I was at the time. And so what am I supposed to tell him? What am I supposed to do? What was I supposed to do with him? But he figured out ways to help Mike be better. And you could hear from his comments that Mike Gerber was saying, you know, like he was the one that helped me, you know, hone down the things that I needed work on, you know, because nobody is perfect. And the beautiful thing about music is that it's a never ending learning process. And, you know, you never want it to end. You never lose that hunger for becoming better. And I love that he said that, because it really is.
Is this a thing, Joe? You had to have books on your head so your posture was right or something?
Oh my gosh. That's hysterical. So many things, right? So many things. I guess
this is a little gem.
Yes. So we're going to go back to one of the earliest recordings that I have found of Vince that Trish had. And we're going to, this is a recording of Vince's first trio, I believe, when he was around 20. You know, he grew up in Chicago. He talked a lot about growing up in the school of hard knocks, basically, and that you would show up at a jam session, and if you were not, you know, swinging, or you were not, you know, getting it done, they basically would, you know, throw you off stage and say, come back when you can play. Right. And, you know, and if you were Vince Maggio, you practiced, you know, right, for a week or 2 or 3, and came back and tried again and got kicked off again, and then came back and kept coming back. So yeah, amazing. So let's hear him when he was 20 with his trio, his very first trio. And I wish I knew, did we put the time, the year? It's got to be no, it doesn't matter. This is stuff I have. This is stuff I have.
Okay.
Coming up now is the Vincent Lawrence Trio. On drums with the trio is Skip Todd, who you all know. The bass man is named Arthur Koenig. He's from Milwaukee. He's been with the group a total of 3 days, and as I understand, he is a real gasser. And the leader, of course, Vincent Lawrence.
Woo! That was a gasser.
Yes. Gasser.
You can tell the era.
Real gasser there.
Just from the announcer. Oh my God, that is so fun. So much fun.
Amazing. What drive, huh? Just that thing.
Yeah.
Oomph.
That young energy. You know, like it's, wow. I love it. I love it. I wanted to say that, you know, our next video is we're closing with this next video. It is a video, and it's just the duo of Vince and Mark Colby, and this was when they played together at Woodstock, Whitsideners retirement party, and it just kind of sums up everything, and his you know, accompanying skills and his love of music and in general.
Right. And we won't see you on the other side of this video, so we want to thank you for tuning in record numbers both nights to share this special event with us. It's clear that Vince was very special to everybody. He touched us all in one way or another, and you're hearing the praises of a great musician who we're going to all miss.
Great teacher, a great friend.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're closing with Vince and Mark Colby, Alone Together.
Thank you.